Okay.
There's 7 people in the waiting room now.
Okay, you want to go? You can go ahead and let them in.
Yep.
And then I'll. And I'm just going to share my screen so we can see the agenda.
All right, and I'm going to log in using my phone as well. That way, if I get knocked out, I can still speak. When you
Okay.
need to.
Okay, sounds good. Welcome, Isaac. Hi, Ms. Whiteman. All right, let me see if I can share the agenda. I got all kinds of stuff. Here we go. 2 multiple windows. I just want 1 window. Okay. And then, all right. This may get tricky for me, but I'm gonna see if I can do it. Is it better, Dr. Cohen, for me to share, just to share everything? I did a share of 1 screen. Will I have to undo it to share the video?
So you would unshare and then reshare for the screen for the video.
Okay, hopefully that'll work out. Okay. All right.
Mr. Cujo, it always makes me smile when I see you, sir.
Great to see you.
Hey, welcome. And thank you, Ms. Whiteman. Let me see what time it is.
You're
We do have
welcome. Yes, Ms. Johnson, I sent you a very important text message.
okay. I have to. Should I read it now? Okay. Let me do that. Okay. Okay, hang on. Yes. Okay, yes, we can do that. All right, and I will let them know. So what it's about 6:35, and Isaac, what's the latest you can stay with us? Is it like 7?
I will stay. However, if the conversation gets deep, you'll have me for the rest of the night, and I'll figure something else out. But ideally, 7:15. I gotta hop to a residency.
Okay, because right now we have you on the agenda starting at 7. For 15 minutes. If you need to start a little bit earlier, I can switch with you and let you speak a little earlier, and then and then do my little bit after. Is it better that you go a little bit earlier so you have a little flexibility?
Yes, please.
Okay. All righty. It looks like, thank you, everyone. And Greg, I see you. Thank you for joining. So Greg Williams is also on the call. So I'm sharing with you right now tonight's agenda, and we have a lot of info, as usual, that we're trying to squeeze in tonight. So I have a few things I want to share with you regarding the NAACP Parent Council, and I'll cover 3 things there. And then we also have students with us who have created Black History Month posters. And so working with Ms. Whiteman, we have 3 of the students who are going to join us tonight, share their poster and kind of tell us what they were thinking when they created their posters. So, we're always happy to have our students join us. That's what this is all about. And then we also have Isaac Cujo, and I don't know if Kevin is on as well, but they're with Brothers with Books. And so they have graciously decided to spend a little time with us tonight to share, information behind their organization. And because it is Black History Month, I wanted to have someone come to share some Black history, not just the Dr. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks history, but some Montgomery County history. So Greg Williams, who is our Up County Regional Director, his family is deep rooted in the county. So he's going to spend about 15 minutes or so telling us a little bit about his family, his experience, and his life in the county. And then we'll have a couple more students come back and share another Black History Month poster. And we'll spend the last 15 to 20 minutes allowing Dr. Cohen to give a little update on anything that's going on at the school. And if there are any concerns that parents want to raise, we'll talk about that then. And then we'll wrap it up. So hopefully we can then get out of here before 8 o'clock. So again, I really, really, really appreciate everyone joining tonight. And so what I will go ahead and do now, since it is about 6:40, Isaac, I will switch with you, and then we're gonna have Brothers with Books. We're gonna let them go ahead and talk, so that way they have a little flexibility and they can drop off when they need to. Once Isaac and Kevin are done, then I'll come back and then tell you a little bit about what was happening with the NAACP Parent Council. So I'm gonna hand it off to you now, Isaac. Thank you again for joining.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everybody who's joined this call. My name is Isaac Cujo. I graduated from Seneca Valley High School in 2012. Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Kevin Isabel Pete. I graduated from Northwest in 2013. I know, sorry. But yeah, graduated from Northwest in 2013. It's a pleasure to be here tonight.
So tonight, you know, sometimes when we get invited to speak at things and it's an opportunity to share about Brothers with Books, we decide between giving you a long drawn out presentation and telling you about the way that we run things. But that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear about the heart behind it and why we do it and how your youth can be a part of it and what are the new things that we're doing. And so we really want to talk about the heart behind it and just give you all kind of a framing for the background. Brothers with Books started in 2019, but actually I think was placed in Kevin and I's hearts in 2017 when we were racially profiled at a traffic stop by 4 undercover police officers. And it was an ordeal, and that's a story for another day, but it is an ordeal that many of you on this call have probably experienced in different ways or people you know. And Kevin and I experienced a lot of trauma from that experience. And we kept talking to each other over the years leading up to 2019 about, well, what can we do in our community to change the way that people see each other and learn to see people as human beings? And we kept talking about that, about what is it that we can do? And we had, believe me, we had a lot of big ideas, a lot of crazy ideas and things like that. But then it came down to, well, what are the tools that we have at our fingertips? And Kevin and I were talking about in our area, you see free little libraries a lot at places like Black Hill, at Brookside Garden, at things like that. But we've yet to see free little libraries at basketball courts, at swimming pools, at places where kids actually frequent in their own free time. And so we had this vision of where we wanted to provide books and sort of create access in that way by building those free little libraries. And we went to the Maryland Book Bank in Baltimore, and we were looking through some books, and a young lady working there asked us why we were doing it. And we told her the heart behind it, and she gave us 148 books. And so we had more books than a free little library can hold. And we started looking around, asking around for anybody that wanted books. And the first person that I actually reached out to was Joe Rankin, who is now a football coach at Seneca Valley High School and also an alumnus who was a senior when I was a freshman in high school. And so, believe it or not, kept in contact. We had worked together at camps over the years and things like that. And I said, hey, Joe, I have 138 books. Do you have any students? At the time he was working at Montgomery Village Middle School. Do you have any students that would like some books? And he said, I have 138 students that would like some books. So I'll see you next week. And that began the journey where we went to his classroom and he told us that representation matters. And so we had planned to do this in secret and no one would ever know Kevin and I ever existed, and we just drop off books. But Joe taught us a powerful lesson about the importance of representation, especially with the students, and how they were mesmerized to see 2 Black men who went to schools just like them decide to fight for something like literacy and talk about the importance of literacy. And so that launched right there in Joe's classroom at Montgomery Village Middle School. We created an Instagram, an email address, and today we've given nearly 40,000 books away for free. We've created scholarships. We've had town halls with police chiefs, county officials. We've done things that we never imagined when we first talked on the phone about it. But I think today, Kevin and I really want to open the floor up to have some conversation about how did we get here and why are we here? And I'll say for everyone on the call, I have done a lot since I graduated from Seneca Valley High School. And the person I was when I graduated would be shocked by who I am today. I did not get honor roll once in high school. I was probably the representative of all different types of learners at Seneca. While I was an IB student, I never got honor roll. I played football, ran track, I did all these things, but I always felt like I was in the middle up until I went to college, where I made a decision my junior year that I wouldn't be in the middle anymore. And so in many ways, Kevin and I always say we do this work because we're trying to find ourselves that exist today at Seneca, at Northwest, and different schools, and intervene in their lives, because there are certain things that if my educators had recognized when I was in high school, I'd probably be running for president right now. If somebody knew that I wasn't eating lunch all through, different grade levels and things like that, or I wasn't doing my homework because I felt bored by the assignment and didn't challenge me, or things like that, God only knows where I'd be today. And so we do this work to sort of reach our younger selves. It is not altruistic. We do get joy from getting a child to say, our goal every time we sit down with students, whenever they say they don't like reading, is to leave with them saying they like reading, they just haven't been given a book that they actually like yet. And that's one thing that we're really passionate about. Now, if you have any questions about how we go about things, where our storage facility is, or how you can donate and things like that, feel free to ask them right now, or any other questions. But also, I wanted to let you all know that we have started doing workshops in schools with specific programs. This month, we did one at Clarksburg High School where we were invited in to actually do a workshop with the students with the specific program. And it was an amazing opportunity to speak to the youth directly. And we don't go into the schools to talk about books. We will leave you some books. We will, give you access to that. But it's really about talking about the hard things that sometimes people don't feel comfortable talking to their educators about, and creating a bridge to let them know that there are people inside of their schools that do care. I am very passionate about this work. It is not my day job. It is my sleep job, which means I dream about it. And I am very passionate about it. I have 6 nieces that will all probably attend MCPS schools, a nephew that currently attends Seneca Valley. And so I am very, very, very passionate about this. And I'll turn it over to Kevin to share his journey.
Thank you.
Yeah, so similar to Isaac, a lot of this stuff, a lot of the work that we do is not, it's just to pretty much facilitate the growth for our younger selves. A lot of the things growing up we saw in the county that were missing, and it wasn't to the direct fault of the teachers or the principals or anything like that. It's just that there wasn't enough voices and support on the day-to-day lives for students. When you start off at elementary school, you got your own small classroom, you got your teacher that's there every day. But I noticed, like, going through middle school, then high school, it's like you rarely get those connections with adults. And I was really missing a lot of those connections, and also missing the opportunity to just have a chance to grow within myself and see different things in myself that I wasn't able to find until later on, like Isaac said, in college, right? So I think that's one thing that me and Isaac pretty much had in common, was that we were more so around the middle. We fit in, we played sports. We could probably fit into any friend group that was around at the time. But ultimately finding the things that like separate us was like, it was hard to navigate. It was really hard to navigate. And in schools at times, it felt like there was little to no guidance with those things. I was having a conversation like earlier this week, and I was talking about the importance of a guidance counselor, but then I reflected on my experiences with guidance counselors, and I was like, well, I never really saw them. In elementary school, my guidance counselor came to my school like all the time. She would do presentations. She would do all these things for us. She would help and talk to us about different things. But then when I thought about it in high school, I was like, I didn't really have that. My guidance counselor primarily stayed in her office, and she was like, well, I'm here if you need me. It's hard to build that connection with somebody, because it's like, I have to just go to you. And then not only do I have to go to you, most of the times that I go to you, it's just to plan a schedule. It was never really, I'm not seeing you every day. It's really hard to establish that connection. So just within the county and just growing up, there were just like it felt like little support to actually develop outside of the curriculum. That's pretty much just ultimately how it felt. It really didn't feel like nobody had the opportunity to give me a chance to reflect on myself and possibly grow and stay out of some things that maybe I got myself into. So the whole idea for Brothers with Books is to just tap into that inner self, tap into the moment, to just stop for a moment, think about who you are, and realize that some of the things that you're going through may not be normal. You may be going through something different than what anybody else in the school is going through, or maybe you have so many connections with somebody that you've never talked to. So it's like Brothers with Books, I would say it's kind of transforming. it's transforming from just when we just thought about literacy. Then it turned into equity and access added onto literacy. And now it's turning into, how do you think about yourself? What are those thoughts that you think about yourself when you lay at home at night? How can you fix those things? It's turning into more of a mirror. I can see Brothers with Books as a reflection. So it's pretty much that if you can like see the path and how it's transcending, is more so of something that's giving back to what we felt was missing for us, and also having the ears open to other people telling us what's missing so we can start addressing some of those needs as well. That's just a little bit about us, I guess. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you. I mean, this is so timely. I mean, it's just so timely. And you've hit on a lot of the concerns we've had just, with today's students. And the fact that you finished in 2014 lets you know it's not new. This is still going on. When you hit the whole thing about the guidance counselor, and their involvement, kind of not being proactive, being reactive, just waiting until the student shows up in the office versus reaching out. I just had a couple of questions. When you partner with the school, who are you working with? Are you working with the principal, with the counseling office, with the teacher, or an after-school program? How is that working?
So for Clarksburg, well, usually in the past, we would have, because it was very literacy focused, it would be the English department in the school that would talk with the principal and say, hey, we really like to bring these two individuals in to speak and things like that. But it's sort of evolved now where there are certain schools, and I maybe Principal Cohen can speak to it, but there are certain schools that have specific programs that students that fall under a specific category, they're housed at their local high school, but they're an intentional program where they may have things like at the Clarksburg, it was like gang affiliation, things like that. They are in this intentional program together. And so we have some of the people that lead that College and Career Center. People reach out to us. So it ranges, but they usually work with the principal, get approval. I mean, obviously it's COVID. And so they had to work with the principal to get us. We did the workshop in person at Clarksburg, actually in the school. So.
Wow. And I don't know if you can address that, Dr. Cohen. Do you know is there a special program maybe for, it sounds like, I dare say troubled kids, but maybe not necessarily troubled kids, but kids that, and I don't think he's talking about special needs.
No, so the program that, I think the program that Isaac is talking about is not one that we have at our school. However, I can think off the top of my head of several programs that I think would benefit immediately from the kinds of interactions that both gentlemen are sharing about tonight. I can also think Ms. Weidman and I were having a sidebar in the chat box about the fact that I think I see a significant benefit in our staff engaging with Kevin and Isaac about this as well. It's not enough for our kids to, in my opinion, it's not enough for our kids to have this experience. We need to continue everything we can to help open up the eyes, minds, and hearts of our adults. So I've got some immediate ideas, Ms. Johnson, and I'm happy to explore any of them with you all.
So that would actually be great. I had a couple of, how do we donate books to your cause?
So we are, we sometimes we get big donations at once. And so we are on a pause with donations because our storage facility has maybe 3,000 books in it. So I would say before you donate books, we are trying to this year actually find small businesses that are willing to be sort of a Brothers with Book hub where we can always drop off books so people can go to those businesses with their kids and get free books. And so that's probably a bigger priority. But I will send Ms. Weidman a host of information. We have a PO box, we do pickups, there's so many things. So we'll definitely get you that information.
Okay. Oh, that would be wonderful. I mean, just a great program. Just out of curiosity, how many schools have you actually, gone into other than Clarksburg?
So the workshop aspect, we've always done speaking engagement, but actually getting the students up to do workshops is a new thing this year. But in the past, I think in the past few years, probably at like maybe 10 schools, 10 different schools. I'd have to check the list, but been into a lot more middle school in the past, but now we're stepping into the high school again. We've actually been to Seneca once to speak in the library. We spoke to students there, but we are trying to do some hands-on activities to get them really thinking, especially for our visual learners. I will also say that I'm on Montgomery County's Racial Equity and Social Justice Advisory Committee, and I have a conflict resolution and negotiation degree. And so if there's anything that you all think of where you're like, we need some help, I've offered this in the past. And so Principal Cohen, anybody, if there's anything that you want to pick my brain for, it's a school I went to. And so I will not be billing you crazily, right? And so believe me, I care about, and my nephew goes there. So if we get things better, it makes things better for him too.
You know, and you, Isaac, you met, I'm not sure if you've met Joe Hooks before tonight, but Joe's organization is one of the service providers for our new wellness center, which opens hopefully, what do we say, Joe, March 1st around then? I can see some direct connections between some of the work that we discussed today, earlier today, Joe, with Isaac, what you and your partner are talking about. And so I see this as, I think Ms. Johnson, you're correct. This is great timing. And I think we're well positioned. I also want to add, by the way, that Isaac was our graduation speaker recently and did a fantastic job speaking to several thousand people, which is always a daunting experience.
Thank you. I think Chanel has a hand up. You have a question?
Yes, I actually do. I am very familiar with the Little Free books, seen them all over here as well as overseas. My question to you in regards to the books that you do have, what kind are they and what level are they? Because I know I can speak for my own child. Well, actually, both of my children. I have one who's an avid reader, loves reading, and the other one is just like, no. Since he started pre-K, he's like, no, I'm not reading this. I don't want to read it. And it wasn't until I had to figure out what is it that he likes to read to try to get him to read something. So my question to you is, especially in particular for the high school kids, and since they're transitioning into adulthood, what kind of books do you have for them?
So I'm gonna just say one comment. I'll turn it over to Kevin to answer this, but I'll say we have books about them and about their experiences. The books that we try to collect are representative of a host of different backgrounds, from a young girl wearing a hijab for the first time in school, a child with a learning disability, and so many different backgrounds. We really do try to get diverse titles. We actually work with somebody who's an editor for the New York Times. And so she gets a lot of diverse books and she donates it right to us. And so we try to find Black and Brown authors as well and reach out to them. And we have some in our county that have sent us books and things like that. And so when I say we have very diverse books and we pride ourselves on that, we really mean it. And when we walk into the schools, it's about making sure that we lay down books. Any one of those students can walk in and find themselves on the cover of the book. And so we tell students to judge our books by the cover, because you will see yourself on those covers. Kevin?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a lot of we get books that are freshly published. We get books that you can still hear that fresh book sound when you open it. That's one of my favorites. We get books that are recommended for different awards, books that were just released this past year. So right now, actually, there's a place where they get a whole bunch of books that were released this past year. They look at them, pick the award winners, and then by the time next January comes around, they're like, hey, we got 10 boxes of books for you to come and pick up. So that's every year. This is something that happens, and that's just one of the avenues that we have for getting books. So we know if we can't find it there, we have community members that donate the books to us. Finding books, we've been to different places and there have been kids that's like, I want a green dinosaur book. Very specific. And I'm like, you know what? Give me a moment. We go look, we have people volunteers, we tell them look around and we find 2 of them. So when we definitely find books that can reach our community. Even whether it's Green Dinosaurs or whether it's, books that really talk about some of the traumas that people are going through in their own lives. So we range from kindergarten all the way up through adulthood for the rest of, forever. So
yeah, and I'd also say for anybody who's on the call who's struggling to find books for their children, we actually create book guides. And so we have Black Girl Books Matter, Indigenous Voices, Asian Stories Protagonists, books about hunger, poverty, and homelessness, adult books. We create these guides to make it easier for parents to actually find books for their children. And also, we are anti-book snobs. And so for people who are like, your child should be reading on this grade level and things like that, we do believe that if your child loves graphic novels, they love magazines, they love things like that, we will find them that. We have given away exclusive Marvel magazines and things like that before, because if they're in love with that kind of literature right now, they might be interested in adult graphic novels. They might be interested in so many different things. And so, yeah, we are always open for any ideas. If you're specifically looking for something, we'll help you find it.
Where are those tabs you were holding up, Isaac? Is that on your website or?
Yeah, so we primarily operate off Instagram. That's where you can find most of our guides. And I will drop an example of one in the chat for you all to find it. Yeah.
Can you drop the handle as well?
Yes, I will. In fact, let me do that.
Great. Any more questions for Isaac or Kevin? Okay.
I don't know if you all have experienced this, Isaac and Kevin, or not, but one of the things that we found when I was at the local middle school was it was, in addition to getting kids access to books, a lot of our kids really wanted new books. They wanted to be the first owner of books. And so I wonder also if Seneca Valley could perhaps partner with you when you need new books. I understand you've got a surplus right now. But I hope you'll look at our high school students as not just the recipients of the books, but as a source for gathering new books for either their peers or for younger students. We have a great number of our kids who are engaged in service, and I'd love to find a way for them to help support your work as you support the community.
Yeah, we love that. We love that. We do always ask people for lightly used to new books, and if it's torn up and beat up, we find another home for it. But we want to make sure that every student that gets a book from us feels like it's theirs, and theirs to keep and theirs to have for a while. So.
Yeah, and when you're talking about that primary ownership, the books that we get from the editor at the New York Times and the annual books that we get every year from the Service in Silver Spring that gives out awards, those are brand new books. Like, I have so many boxes in my classroom now that are just full of brand new books that like my students are so eager to like get to, but I'm like, no, you can't, you got to hold off a little bit, so yeah, we do understand, like, some people used and new, there's kind of like, some kind of thing with that, but we have all options. We can make a way to find for all options. So.
Great. I don't see any other raised hands. So I want to thank you both. This has been wonderful. And Ms. Wyman, I want to make sure we get all of their information so I can share that with the group after the meeting. And then Dr. Cohen, like you said, if there are ideas that we can get together on afterwards, ways to take advantage of these gentlemen, because I think there is definitely a need. Okay, well, thank you so much. And please stay on as long as you can. You're more than welcome.
Yes, and Ms. Johnson, these young men are definitely on the move. I wanted to mention that they were on the news, okay? They made the news. Hello. So they're on the move, and they've been on the move ever since. And maybe once, at another time, we'll have Isaac and Kevin tell us about Sisters y Hermanas. They have another thing going on. Oh, wow. It's just, it's endless.
Oh, wow. Well, we'll definitely put that on the to-do list for our upcoming meeting. Thank you for sharing. Once again, thank you both so much. This has been wonderful and very helpful. And all right, I'll continue on the agenda. And I think we can stay on schedule. What we're gonna do is, Brianna, can you share your poster with us now? I made Miss Whiteman a host. And Brianna's our first student.
I made 3 posters.
Okay.
Should I just share my screen?
Okay, you're gonna, okay. Do you need to share your screen or you want Miss Whiteman? Okay,
I
so
have
Brianna.
pictures of them,
Okay, so
so-
Yeah.
Brianna's gonna share.
Yeah, they're each gonna share their own. Mhm.
Okay. All right, you should have it now, Brianna.
All right. Can you see them?
Yes.
So this is the first one I made of Maya Angelou, and I just wanted to make posters about influential African American figures and events that impact.
Emergency vehicles.
But yeah, I made one about her because not only was she a civil rights activist, she also was big in the literary world, and she wrote about a lot of things spanning from her personal experiences to African American struggles, which I think was very impactful in literature, African American literature, and as a community. And then I made one about the Brown versus Board case because that obviously had a very big impact on education, where a lot of students of color not only are able to obviously go to good schools, but there's so many more opportunities like MSP and other things specifically for them. And then my other one, I made a poster about Ledger Smith because he skated 685 miles from Chicago to DC for the March on Washington, just to show how ready we were for change in the 1960s and throughout the civil rights movement, and how desperate we were for the change, I guess, and how excited African Americans were to see influential figures like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. speak up for the cause.
I never knew about Ledger Smith. See, you learn something every day. And he skated in the 60s to DC.
From Chicago.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And did we put the posters up, Ms. Wyman? Are they up in the school?
They are up in the school. These young ladies have gone out and put these posters up. We got the permission approval from Dr. Cohen and Ms. Wanzer and Dr. Kim.
Great, great. And those are great. Nice job, Brianna. Very nice. And like I said, I never knew about Ledger. Never heard his name before, ever. So that's a little known Black history fact. So thank you. And I know I have about another 10 minutes. So what I want to do now is share a video with you. It's part of the updates for the African American Parent Council. I wanted to share some of just that. This is a spoken word speech that was made by, her name is Daniela, and I think it's Ganyo, and we call her Dee Dee. And she did a spoken word performance at the AACP Poetry Read-In, which was about a week ago. And it was about her. She had a friend who committed suicide. So I'll let her say it in her words. So let me share my screen so you can hear. Let me make sure where is Dee Dee. So you can hear it. I mean, it was such a powerful performance that I just, we had to do this. 1 second, let me make sure I can find it. And if not, hang on, let's see if I can. 1 second. And I'm being technically challenged, aren't I? Hold on. No, okay, here it is. All right. And my apologies for taking so long. Where's Dee Dee? There she is. All right. And then just let me know if you can see, because it is, hang on, there she is. Okay. All right, here it is.
Okay,
We can
Ms.
see
Johnson,
it.
we can't
We can
hear.
see it, but we can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it? Oh, bummer. Okay. Is there, let me see, what am I missing here?
At the bottom, I think, right, Dr. Cohen, there's a, if you press, is it more or reactions? where you
Okay.
can see?
Okay, hang on 1 second. Okay, so if I go to the, and I apologize for taking up folks' time more, and okay, let me come back. All right, I'll figure it out. All right, what I will do is go on. Let me see if Greg is ready, and then once I figure out my technical challenges, then I'll play Dee Dee's spoken word for you, because again, like I said, it's very powerful. One of the other things I wanted to share is also that my daughter Layla was also in that same program. She didn't read a poem, but she was part of the visual artist. And so she is she actually was the only Seneca Valley student that participated in the poetry reading this year. And she was actually the only student that participated in the AACP competition for 20 last year. So what we are doing is we would like to see the number of Seneca Valley students participating in this program to increase. And I do believe right now we do have 3, and that's including Layla for this year. But it is such a wonderful program that it has so many opportunities that we want to make sure that our students at Seneca Valley are not missing out on it. So let me share a screen again. I can show you one of the pictures, and you can tell me if you can see this. Can you see it? Okay, so, and I've gotten it pretty close, but this is what she submitted last year. And this one didn't go to national, but she got an honorable mention. And the thing about it is that she used 4 different art mediums to create this, what she called cat's eye. And so the upper left is ink, the bottom left is pencil, the upper right is marker, and the bottom left is pencil, colored pencil. So she wanted to take she took these 4 different art mediums that created this one eye. So the judges, the fact that she combined the techniques, I think is what caught their attention. And their comment is that they were looking for something that had a little bit more emotion. And this is the drawing that she presented at the AACP read-in. And so this is something that she did in IB Art this year. This particular picture is done using 3 ink pens. She used a black ink pen, a brown ink pen, and a red ink pen. And
Ravon,
so
you want to switch, Ravon, I'm sorry, you
Oh.
want to switch screens so we can see the next picture.
Oh, okay, so you couldn't see it.
No,
Okay,
so
hold
just
on.
unshare and then reshare.
Okay, got you. I should work on my technical. Okay, can you see it now? Okay, and it should be like wolves surrounding, as she calls, a kill.
Yes, we've got it.
Okay, so this particular picture is the one that she did using 3 ink pens. She had a brown, a black, and a red ink pen. It's all ink. And so when she presented it, she said she started out trying to create the wolves, thinking that they would be the center of the picture. But then working with Ms. Hess, she was like, well, no, it was too much space on the front, and it looked like the wolves were staring at something. And so for whatever reason, she decided, oh, it could be a kill. So she put this semi-corpse up front and colored it red and made this become the focal point in her picture, along with the tree. So this is, like I said, there are so many talented kids in the AACP program. And like I said, I know we have the same level of kids at Seneca Valley, so we just don't want them to miss out on what's going on, with AACP. And it's not just this competition. There's so many other opportunities that come through AACP. It's like a little club. So I just want to make sure we keep them, keep AACP and what it offers, on the forefront, and that we continue to push Seneca Valley students, into the arena. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share. So now, Greg, if you're ready, I can hand it off to you. And Greg, again, I'll let him introduce himself, but he is the regional director for the Up County. And Greg is going to share some Montgomery County history, Black history with us. So Greg, I'll hand it off to you. And thank you for joining
Okay,
again.
and thank you so much for having me to speak. And thank you, Dr. Cohen, and all those. And I want to say I was so impressed with the young men with the books, because without books, we can't get the knowledge. So congratulations and thank you. Some of you may have seen me turn my camera off. We had, unfortunately, I'm in front, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Lake Forest Mall, where a young man lost his life at work on Monday. And we had 100 and some people at a prayer vigil. And that's some of the things that I do, not only with the county executive, which I'm going to tell you about my job, but with the Victims' Rights Foundation. So after I finish, I'm going to hang up because they're continuing to pray and I have to join them. But I told them I committed to this first. And I told the mother I'll be joining her, the son. So Greg Wims, W-I-M-S, 6th generation Montgomery Countyan. And some of you know the name because if in the Clarksburg area, we have Clarksburg High School on Wims Road, named after my great-great-grandfather. But we have Wilson Wims Elementary School, which is 5 years old now, who is my cousin, who was a trailblazer. So we're going to talk about Black history in Montgomery County. Again, growing up here, and I'll tell you my age so that you'll know that I can still speak of Black history and still be living. I'm 72 years old. And then when I was born, I was actually born in a house with no electricity and no running water. So we used the outhouse, all the things you read about in the books, the young people. I actually lived it, and many of my relatives in Stewarttown, which is a Black community freed by freed slaves right after the Civil War. And of course, in Clarksburg, where Wims Road is, where on my father's side, they started also after slavery. And so with that, we mostly were tenant farmers, etc. A lot of the family members, the jobs back then in those days, we're talking 50s, 60s, 70s, because all of you know about 80s and up, 50s, 60s, and 70s, mostly federal government if we didn't work really for farmers in the area, because that whole area, Gaithersburg towards Frederick and Clarksburg was mostly farms. One of the things that I had, the speaker said earlier, we had, of course, when we first started, we had all Black school. It was called Longview Elementary, which is in Emory Grove. Now they still have Longview, and it's a holy. Now I know Brother Hook's on the call. South Lake Elementary is being torn down to build a new elementary there in Montgomery Village. Those kids are now at Longview Elementary. That's the holding school. But that was a school, my parents' school for me into 3rd grade, which was all Black. And of course, we had what I call the great education, because all the teachers were like parents. If we messed up, they called home to the mom or the dad. And in some cases, they would even take students to their homes for the weekend, a whole different situation. But when we went to our, what we call integrated schools, yes, they had better books, but we had to fight almost every week. I wouldn't say every day. The N-word was flying for the first 5 years. So I went 3rd grade all the way through 7th grade. Then it got a little better. But when it came to counselors, though, hardly any encouragement at all in those days. Now, things are much better. And Dr. Cohen, who I'm a great admirer of course, is one of those great educators and, of course, administrators there. And so in the next 8 minutes or so, give you a little bit about history that I think will make all of you proud. As I said, 90% of us worked either farm or the federal government as laborers or cleaning, etc. But my cousin, Wilson Wims, who the elementary school is named after, he became self-taught the Black builder of homes. So from 1940 to about 80, then of course, things are much better in the big companies like where all of you live now. Those developers came in and started building the houses. But Wilson Wims was the home builder. He built for a few whites, but mostly, I would say 98% were Black families. And so he was the successful businessman, Wilson Wims. He also if you go into Clarksburg, you see Wilson Field, which is the baseball field where some of the greats back in those days came. It's now, it's not really open and the grass is really tall, but the parking plan tells me they're gonna do something. But I think with Satchel Paige and people like that are the great Black players, did come through there on what they call the circuit for the Black ball players. So that is something that is great history. And he was the only Black builder of homes in those years. We had in Montgomery County another Black builder on the east side down in Sandy Spring, and his name was Bob Hill. So, most of the people at Sherwood High School and so forth are still sort of distant cousins of Mr. Hill. So that gives you a little bit, because most of us didn't have business. He was the one, and that is great Black history right there. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about myself, as the young men did. 26 years ago, I started the Victims' Rights Foundation, and that's one of the reasons I'm here now at this wake or vigil for the young man that was killed. The idea was that a lot of times when people of color would lose their life to violence or domestic violence at home, where most of the time it's men beating the women, but sometimes, because I've been doing it for 26 years, women beat the men. But that's very seldom, but it happens. No one was there to counsel and no one was there to help. So by the grace of God, we started the Victims' Rights Foundation with about maybe 10 volunteers from Goshen United Methodist Church, which is, those who know the Stewarttown, Goshen Road area, that's the church there. And we're the largest Black church in Upper Montgomery County. But with that, we've grown now. And so as of today, 26 years later, we've had over, in and out, 500 or so volunteers, but we have a strong core of 30. Most of those at Goshen and some of the others at what we call Emory Grove United Methodist Church. But we have a school in Kenya, like you're talking about the books and so forth here, and we appreciate very much, and we try to help here locally. But in Kenya, when President Barack Obama became president, I had a friend that knew him, and he talked about the village that his dad was born in and grew up. So when we went, we saw that the kids couldn't even go to school, and that the girls, absolutely, when the time of month came, because we're talking to all adults here, they had to stay home. So we started immediately and gave a year's supply for the young ladies, but we built this other school for preschoolers because kids couldn't go to school until they were 6. So at my school, which is Victims' Rights Foundation School, they started 4. It's like a Head Start program with that. And saying that in my last, I guess, 5 minutes, tell me we have, I am history myself. So all those who see me, I was the first Black and the first man to be a Head Start teacher in Montgomery County. So back in 1974, they didn't have any male Head Start teachers. They didn't have any Black male Head Start teachers. So we made history. I'm in the history books in Montgomery County Public Schools. And my school was Kensington Elementary there in Kensington. So you see, for the young people, say, oh, I met somebody with Black history. So when I die, they'll talk about it. But you can say you met me live and in living color. And so with that, I'm just so glad to be here in my current job. And again, I'm a senior citizen still working. I'm the director of the Up County Regional Center, which means I work for Mark Elridge, the county executive. And my job is to be like his eyes and ears for all of Upper County, from Kentlands, Gaithersburg, all the way through Clarksburg, Poolesville, all the way to Damascus. And so our great friend, Dr. Johnson, I call you Doctor, I'm not sure if she's on our advisory board. So we see each other twice a month talking about issues in the Up County. So with that short, brief thing, I have a whole lot more things to tell you, but I won't. I'm open for questions, and then I'll go back to the prayer vigil. Yes, Ravon, I think you're on mute.
I was, look, I got it straight. I don't know why I'm having so many technical challenges tonight, but thank you so much. And look, because I have heard Greg's history, and there is so much more to it. I will tell you, there's so much more to it. But I really appreciate you taking the time just to share that with us. And if they, if we may have to have you come back, because I know you're busy. A lot of people don't realize he's dealing with the Up County. There's a lot going on in the Up County. I mean, there's a lot going on around the county in general, but there's a lot going on in the Up County, and Greg's hand is in a lot of it, all of it. So I really, really appreciate him taking the time out of his busy schedule to share.
Ravon, I will come back, and for Dr. Cohen, anytime, call me. I'll come in and mentor the kids or whatever, because I'm right there. But I wanted to take maybe 30 seconds to tell the group, because it's history going to be made in the next month. We're going to announce it. Emory Grove is a historic Black community. I mentioned Stewarttown, where I was for free slaves. Emory Grove was next door. They had their doctor, grocery store, nightclub, great baseball field. And then what they had was a entertainment center where Ike and Tina Turner, Fex Domino, the Four Tops, all of them came through Emory Grove, right here in Gaithersburg. Emory Grove is outside of Gaithersburg. But the reason why I wanted to mention that, Urban Renewal came and all the families sold, because most of them were like me. They didn't have electricity or plumbing. So they gave them 50 cents on the dollar, you know how Urban Renewal goes. And they built what you have now by the air park and so forth. But the county executive with the HOC have come together where the county is going to give up about 7 acres of land. Also redo the community center there. It's called the Up County Recreation Center, I'm sorry. But HOC is donating 10 acres. So with that, we're going to build about 300, some moderate price homes, some townhomes, and also some apartments for senior citizens. And all of that is going to be announced next month. So it's history because the Black community that was lost is coming back within the next 2 years. And you got to hear it first because we haven't had the press conference. So thank you very much, but that is history right there.
Thank you once again, Greg. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay,
And
I'll
look
leave.
for that. Okay,
Bye-bye.
I said we'll look for it. All right, I'll keep it going. I'm still looking for that connection to play that video, so we'll get to it. But what I want to now get to, we still have a couple of students. We have Sina and Nyla on, and they have Black History Month posters that they're going to share with us. So who's going to share? Should it be Sina and Nyla, or does it matter?
I think.
Would you like to share, Sina, or should Nyla do it?
I think Nyla has the picture of the
Okay.
photo, so.
Okay. Nyla, I'll go ahead and make you host, and you should be able to share your desktop, Nyla.
Okay. Miss Weidman, do you have the picture? Because I'm on my phone right now and I don't know how to share my screen and do all of that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let me check.
Okay. Not a problem. And I had one more. I was going to cover one more item from the NAACP Parent Council meeting.
Why don't you do that, Ms. Johnson?
Okay.
Yeah, why don't you
Give me a chance to look at that? Okay.
Yeah.
The last item is at the last meeting, the Parent Council meeting, the topic that was covered, which was interesting, was let's see what we called it. They called it storytelling for advocacy. So they actually brought in, and I'll definitely share the presentation with everyone. Let me see if I have it. I should have it somewhere. 1 second. I don't know why we are not doing well with technology tonight. Here it is. Let me just bring it up real quick. And what that presentation was, and it was interesting because what they were trying to show the attendees was how you can use your voice to make a difference, and you can do it, by telling your own personal story here. And this was the presentation. Hopefully everyone can see it. And we spent the whole hour and a half or 2 hours with this group, and it's called the Montgomery County Community Action Board. And this is who they are. They're a board. They're actually, let me go to their purpose. And they actually support, people in the county, lower income, people who are not likely to know how to go about advocating for themselves. So in the workshop, this is what the goal of the workshop was. And that was for participants to learn how storytelling techniques could be used to effectively advocate and help you understand. And what they were trying to get across is that when we ask you to testify before, like the Board of Ed, or when we ask that you testify before the county council, or if you just need to stand up in a meeting, a PTA meeting, an African American Parent Council meeting, or just before just a group of friends, and you are trying to make your point, what they did was they gave you a strategy for using your own story. And the power behind using a personal story, you take that story, you link it to a bigger problem, let's say a problem within the school or the community, you tie those two together, and then you come back and tell them, this is what you're asking for, a call to action. So they actually said, take what's important to you, link it to some sort of emotion, and then you turn around and say, this is the action that you want the person or the organization to take to improve whatever problem you're identifying. And so they even gave us this little, this acronym, EPIC. So when you are actually putting your story together, you engage the audience with some sort of story, something that's going to make them go, huh? And then you tell them what the problem is. Then you illustrate and inform them how to fix it. Then you call to action and tell them what to do. Now, if you can remember from the last meeting, I think I shared a video from a parent at Neilsville. And so her testimony started out, she engaged the audience. First, she started telling them about her daughter and how successful her daughter has been academically, all the roles she was in. But then she started talking about the problems that her daughter was having in school, the fights in class, the fact that she couldn't hear the Promethean board. She would have to call her teachers in the evening because she couldn't get the homework. The fact that teachers were so frustrated, they would just get up and leave the classroom. She did that. She talked about the problems. Then she informed them what her solution was. Her solution was they were leaving Montgomery County Public Schools. Not only the schools, they were leaving Montgomery County because she felt that her child was not getting in a space where she could learn safely. And so her call to action was that they need to figure out what's going on in this case, it was Neilsville, because she said the teachers are great, the administrators are great, the principal is great. It's just that they're not getting the support that they need. And because of the way she structured that story, she did get reaction from the board. And that was an immediate reaction because the president then said, I want someone to go to that school and find out what's going on and find out if there is a problem, let's figure out what we need to do. And so that happened simply because this lady stepped forward and she just told her story. You don't have to be, you don't have to be this person with all these degrees to stand up and tell your story. So that's kind of the message they were conveying. And so what I will do is share this presentation with the group and just take a look at it. And if you feel that there's something that you feel passionate about and you want to see some change, one way to do that is to stand up and tell your story. And so I will tell you, it's that old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If you don't say nothing, you won't get nothing. So if you don't do anything, nothing will change. So you have to, kind of look within yourself and just know that whatever you do, it's not going to be perfect. It's not, no presentation is perfect. No speaker is perfect, but you just go forth with your passion and then do and say what you need to do. So I will, I'll stop sharing this now, but I will add this to my follow-up email to the group, and then anyone who's interested in that, and we are encouraging everyone. We want as many parents as possible. If there's something that we want for our kids, or we want for our school, or we want for our administration, we need to step forward and say, hey, we want this for our kids, but we have to say it. Somebody has to step forward and say it. So we want more advocates. The more, the merrier. So I'll share that with you. So if anybody have any immediate questions on that? Okay. If not, are you ready, Ms. Whiteman, with, okay. All right, let's go ahead. Now we have a Black History Month poster, and that was with Sina and Nyla.
Okay, Nyla, Sena.
And I'm sorry, Sina, I've been saying her name wrong. My apologies. Go ahead.
Okay, so me and Senna, we made this poster for Black History Month. I kind of I found inspiration online, and I just saw a Black woman, and I kind of thought that it represented me, especially with the hair. because I had like a past with hair struggles, and I really feel like a hair is a big part of my identity. So just able to show that in this poster was really comforting for me. And then also the fact that, women usually do a lot of stuff behind the scenes and they don't really get credit for it. So having a face on the poster that represents like Black women was also a main point for me making this poster. And Senna can explain the quote that we wrote.
Yeah, so I chose the quote that we put on the sign for the poster, and basically with Shirley Chisholm's quotes, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. I just think, personally for me, I think it was just representative of like having to create your own opportunities and having to be your own advocate. And I feel like me and Nyla and a lot of the people that I know, a lot of fellow Black girls have to do that a lot. And I think that was like one of the reasons why I chose the quote. And then Shirley Chisholm is just like a really cool person. And I really love that quote. And I think it's a very well-known one. So it was nice to put that and have a Black woman represented on the poster, especially with the lack of representation. So yeah, that is why we chose that, and really proud of it.
I love it.
And we would like to
I love
thank
the
Ms.
quote.
Johnson. Yes, we would like to thank Ms. Johnson and those parties that gave us all the great art supplies, right, guys?
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
we're just glad to see you do it. I like the quote. Bring your folding chair. I love that. Okay, we really appreciate you doing it. And all of these are up at the school. Great. And I did share with the PTA, that the students were doing this and that they were very thankful, with the donation. So we are just glad that they were able to put some together for Black History Month. So thank you both. We appreciate you joining us tonight. All right, Dr. Cohen, I will give you a few minutes. I think that's all we're going to cover. What I'm going to do is unfortunately, I'm going to hold off on the video, seeing that I'm technically challenged tonight and I can't seem to get that right. So what I will do is I'll share that video at the next meeting. Go ahead, Ms. Wyman.
Yes, before you do, let me just really quickly share what Senna and Nyla also put on our announcements, that a women-centered drive. They had this on the announcements, and that's upcoming, right, Senna, Nyla? And look at that. They had the freshmen bring these certain items, sophomores, juniors, and seniors to help out the homeless women. And I just love the hearts of these young people. My goodness. I mean, it brings me to tears. The love in their hearts. Brianna too, she's such a good girl. She's in my homeroom.
Thank you. You are so right. They are just wonderful students. I mean, and the things that you're doing, it's heartwarming. You're right. And thank you so much for all that you do. And anything that we can do as an organization, as a group, to help when you have these events, please let me know. And I, like the sharing of the drive, I didn't know, make sure we put that out there. We, the PTA can push that as well to ensure that, you get as much support as possible from the community. So whenever you girls are doing anything, if I'll give you my email, or just tell Ms. Whiteman, say, Ms. Whiteman, can you let Ms. Johnson know, to advertise this, to push it out, and I'll make sure I share it with all of the parent groups. So they need to know all the great things you get to do. And this is wonderful. So thank you for doing that. Okay, all right. Well, I give Dr. Cohen, do you have anything, any updates you'd like to share with us?
I have just a couple of things. First, I want to thank Ms. Weidman, because she continues to find just some amazing student leaders to not just speak with us as a group here tonight, but to really take significant roles out front in leadership throughout the school. And so I'm grateful to Ms. Weidman for that. We thank the kids a lot. We thank our student leaders a lot, but I think it's important that we also thank our adults who take the time to recognize and to provide opportunities for our students. And so thank you for that. I've gotten to know Senna over the last, over a bit of time now. Nyla and I were just getting to know each other some. Nyla, I stood you up today. I'm sorry. I was supposed to have you in my office today for the afternoon announcement, I believe, but I got tied up. But I hope that's not the, I hope the other day wasn't the first time we get to sit down and chat about your future, because you got a bright one. So I just have a couple of things I want to share with the group tonight who are here, and then also for those of you who are watching on the recording, because we know that people are watching these recorded meetings as well. I want to start where Ms. Johnson, you were a few minutes ago, and that is with the importance of advocacy. Ms. Johnson will tell you that since the very first time she and I met, she has been stressing the importance of parent advocacy. And I will share with you, because I know it's a topic that has come up in early iterations of this group. As a result of that advocacy, we continue to grow in certain service areas for our school and our community. I'm happy to share with you that this school year, we've gotten an additional Esol Counselor, a counselor specifically for our students from other countries who have English as a second language. That's a staff member that is added to our staff for this school year, this second semester. But we also have next school year additional counselors joining our team as we get larger, but also as we work to lower the caseloads, so that as I don't remember if it was Kevin or if it was Isaac talking about access to his counselors as more than just people talking about college, so that our counselors have the time and are available to be more for our students. So I want to thank you for your advocacy there. I think that specifically, Ms. Johnson, is something you've been advocating for at least since I've met you.
Yeah.
I also want to share that starting March 1st, our wellness center will be ready to be fully operational. And I had a chance to meet with the team today. I'm so excited about the services that are coming to the Germantown, the Seneca Valley community. I asked that you all saw Joe, for example, was on the line. Ms. Morgan, we've got just wonderful practitioners who are going to be coming into our building, providing a wide array of services. And so I want to ask this group to allow me to invite them to be significant guest presenters at the next meeting, because I think the sooner we establish a relationship, the better. The better we'll be able to serve our community. I can't tell you how excited I am for that to open up. Really grateful. I want to share that our Dads on Duty program continues to get significant recognition. So much so, and again, a lot of this is because of the advocacy of not just Ms. Johnson, but people like Ms. Johnson. We were recognized, our program, which is modeled, to give full credit where it's due, modeled after the group in Shreveport, Louisiana. We have been recognized and supported now by Byron Johns, and also by our superintendent of schools, who, by the way, talking about history, Mr. Wims was talking about African-American history. It is still African-American History Month. Is the first African-American female and the second African-American superintendent in Montgomery County history. And she is putting her full-throated support behind our Dads on Duty program, as well as is Councilman Craig Rice. Councilman Rice will be visiting us next week. The superintendent will be visiting us next week. The superintendent has invited me and several of our Dads on Duty to breakfast on Wednesday at her office. And then we're going to go over and share with all of the high school principals from across Montgomery County, all 25 high schools, the good work that's being done, with a commitment from the school system to support the growth of the program across the county for any school that's interested in finding ways for our dads to make a difference. I do want to continue to share in case anybody asks the question. Our moms we love our moms. We love our mom volunteers. We appreciate our mom volunteers. We're grateful to all of our moms for all that you do. And we are also very appreciative of our dads on duty. And right now we're celebrating our dads. We celebrate our moms all the time. Right now we're celebrating our dads and we're celebrating the contributions that they are making. This is their program. I'm just lucky enough to be able to help support these really fine men from our community. So I wanted to share that with you as a direct offshoot of, again, your advocacy. Just last week, Seneca Valley had our first ever Black Girls Summit. This was a small group of African-American girls. They were invited for a wide range of reasons. And this group was, believe it or not, I did not lead this group. I was not qualified. This was a partnership. What are y'all laughing at?
Who would have known? Who knew?
So this group this idea was the brainchild of our new assistant principal, Ms. Katie Ramadi, who is of Asian descent, Middle Eastern. We talk about Black and brown as not always African American, right? It's not always Hispanic. And she worked with Ms. Wanzer, Kashina Wanzer, with Ms. Crawford, both African American assistant principals. They worked with Ms. West, one of our counselors, African American counselor, and they worked with a number of people from our central office, in the equity office, and in some other offices to facilitate 2 really meaningful days for these young ladies. And this is just the first of what will be, what I believe will be a significant opportunity for our students, specifically our girls. We started focusing, Ms. Weidman, were you there? No. So I didn't want to speak about it.
I had to teach.
If you were, I get it. Next time I'll get you a sub. So I wish I would have done that this past time. I'm sorry for that. I didn't think about it. So I didn't want to speak about it if you were there. But we started off this time around with trying to create community for a group of young ladies who, just to be honest, I think have been feeling criminalized. And we wanted to make sure we've committed ourselves as a school to not being that school. We've committed ourselves as a school to tearing down barriers, to looking ourselves in the mirror when we're the problem, and to helping our students to be the solution. And as you all know, at the beginning of the school year, we had significant challenges in our building that centered primarily around a number of these students. And so we challenged them to be the solution at our school, because they are Seneca Valley, just as Senna and Brianna and Nyla are Seneca Valley. And I have to tell you, I was not there, so I didn't get to see the conversations. I didn't listen in. There was no taping going on, but I have heard that the experience was incredibly moving and transformative, and I am excited that it will be coming back. So I wanted to share that with you. I did challenge Ms. Johnson, the planning team, to see if there was a way to engage this council in future sessions in some way or another. I don't want to presume to take any kind of ownership of what they do, but I did make sure that they were aware that this parent council exists as a resource. So there is that. Ms. Weidman has already talked, I think, a little bit about our MSP and our Black History Month announcements. We are not doing enough for Black History Month. I just have to say that out loud. We are still not. But we're this year has been much better than past years, and we will continue to get better. I just got to be full disclosure, right? And we got to own our successes and the things we need to keep working on. The last thing I will share with you is about our Equal Opportunity Schools initiative. Some of you may know that every year for the last 4 years, we have asked our students to take a survey. We've also asked our staff to take a survey. And part of the student survey is centered around how they view themselves as learners, how they view themselves in the broader scheme of Seneca Valley High School. And the intention is to find those students who have not yet been tapped on the shoulder to experience more rigorous curriculum that we know that they either want but aren't being allowed to take or aren't being encouraged to take for institutionally racist reasons, perhaps, or that just simply identifies them as up and coming scholars in our building. And we have a process in place, a team that then works with these students to help them get into whatever advanced courses that they want to get into, whether it's an honors course, an AP course, or an IB course. It's a structure that comes out of the survey to tear down barriers to access and to opportunity, equal opportunity schools. That's where that comes from. And so we did deliver that survey again this year. It has helped us over the last 4 years to significantly increase enrollment, specifically of African American and Latinx students in AP and IB. And we are using that data once again to identify, I think we have somewhere, I think the number was 87, 88 students who said they wanted to be in an AP or IB class, had never taken an AP or an IB class, and had nobody recommending them for an AP or IB class. You followed that, right? Yeah. And so these are students that we are all now reaching out to see what it is that they and their families need so we can help them feel successful in these classes. Because I mentioned earlier that I wasn't qualified to lead the Black Girls Summit. We also heard from Isaac earlier today that Joe Rankin taught him that representation matters. We can't allow these classes to be predominated by people that look like me in a school that is 88% not me. Exactly. And so that is the purpose behind that work. And I wanted to share that with you all as a group as well. And Ravon, I'm happy at another time to share the specific data with this group, to bring you all behind the curtain in terms of what the psychometrics are behind how we do this work, and what we then do in response, because part of the function of this group is to hold the school accountable. Yes. And that process is one of the steps that we have in place to hold ourselves accountable. Okay.
And I would definitely love to have you talk a little bit more about that. So I'll reach out to you, and you can just let me know at which meeting would work best. And maybe what I'll do is I'll couple that with the equity accountability data. Okay. Which you all should have received. Parents should have received a little bit of a reminder from the school system about recently, and you'll be getting some more information from me about our equity accountability data in the coming weeks. So maybe I could couple those things together. All right. So that's my report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have, but I honestly would always rather hear from the kids. Yeah. So thank you. Any questions for Dr. Cohen? And that was a lot of information, a lot going on in Seneca Valley. You're very busy.
Probably no questions, but I think Senna has something that Dr. Cohen forgot to mention. Go ahead, Senna.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that for Black History Month, Nyla organized a scavenger hunt that is starting tomorrow, and she just announced about it today at last period. So it's starting tomorrow, and it's basically going to give everyone a chance to find clues about famous and historical Black people, and they're going to go around school. And she did it all by herself, so that was just something. Oh wow! Let me sure know. That's nice.
That's awesome. So, hey, Senna, one of the things I would ask you and Brianna to think about, because you're the two students who are on the call still, one of the goals with this group when we started it, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Johnson, but one of the goals is that we believe as a group that Black History Month, Black history should not be limited to February. Right. It doesn't mean we shouldn't do Black History Month. It just means it shouldn't be limited. And so one of the things I want our students to help us with, and I'm just taking advantage of the fact that you're here, and I know that you see challenges and you say, I'm not going to let that get in my way because I've gotten to know you a little bit. I want to figure out how not just through MSP, but through all of our groups, we are making sure that we are centering ourselves around the population that we serve. And so I just want to encourage you all to continue. You've been putting so much work into Black History Month, and I know that Nyla is so proud of you all are proud of the work that she put in behind the scenes to the scavenger hunt. I want to see that continue. And I hope you all know that I am your biggest cheerleader from behind, second maybe only to Ms. Weidman. And whatever I can do, I will always look for a way to say yes to you all with things that you want to either lead or encourage other groups to lead, because it also doesn't need to always fall on your shoulders.
And if you can do me a favor, Senator, Ms. Whiteman, Brianna, Nyla's not on, send me some pictures or something from the scavenger hunt tomorrow. You know, even if it's the winner, and make sure you send me a picture of Nyla. You know, I just want to promote, you know, the good things that you know, you guys are doing. You're doing some great things here. And I want, you know, I want the school community to know that. So if you can, if you think about it tomorrow, if you could just, you know, just take a couple of shots, you know, just let me at least promote that and you know, among the parent groups, the social media, so they know that, you know, these we have some great students and they're doing some great things at Seneca Valley. So yeah, so if you can, if you have time tomorrow, take a couple of shots, you know, Ms. Whiteman, if you have to, and then just text it to me.
Will do. And I just want everybody to know that Brianna will, she's in my homeroom, but she will be one of our leaders for MSP. She filled out her application and all. What do you have to say, Brianna? Come on.
She put you on the spot, Brianna.
It's a great opportunity. I mean, I'm new to Seneca Valley. I just moved here, so it's my first year here, and I'm glad that I was able to find a community so quickly and be able to have an impact on the school and what we're doing and impact the student body.
Wow, welcome. Thank you. You're not new anymore now, Brianna. You're family. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Whiteman, for all you do too. Okay, well, thank you everybody for hanging in here. I will mail out, I will email out using the group, the presentation and then a little short summary. But Dr. Cohen we did record tonight's meeting. You know, we fumbled through a few of these technical things, but I think we still shared some really, really good info for our parents. So, so we'll try to get that recording out as well, so that other parents can hear what we talked about tonight. All right.
Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson, can we hear a little bit of Miss Morgan's voice?
Oh, okay. She's good at that.
Oh gosh, thank you for that, Ms. Wyman. Can everyone hear me okay?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you all for such an inviting space to come into, you know, and just to learn more about the Seneca Valley community. I definitely, you know, take a position of, you know, curiosity, and I'm very excited about being here and really looking forward to building some really powerful relationships and continuing. I think, Ms. Johnson, you said it, I think very well, is that we create essentially a wraparound service for the communities that we serve, and that's what we're here to do. So thank you so much. Thank you to the students who share so powerfully. It takes a lot of courage to talk about things that are uncomfortable and to brush up against topics that people would much rather throw a beautiful sheet over and pretend like it's not the elephant in the room. So thank you all for your courage, and I'm so honored and thrilled to be a part of this community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you joining tonight too. All right, well, that ends our agenda for tonight. We are basically right on schedule, a couple of minutes early. So thank you again. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and we'll get the recording and the other information out. All right, thank you.
Yes. Dr. Cohen, may I share something with you and Ms. Johnson really quickly?
Okay.
If you want to, you can stop the recording, but I just wanted to share something with you, Dr. Cohen. I think that this just might